So Tuesday, November 3rd, me and Quinn went to Wright State University to listen to a lecture given by Tom Harkin, Karkin. He was the U.S. Senator and the author of the Americans with Disability Act. Quinny, come here. So we listened to a lecture for him for, I don't know, an hour and a half maybe. I mean, it was informational and stuff, and I was very pumped to actually be there listening to him. And during the whole lecture, he really did not bring up anything about service animals, and I was kind of disappointed because I was really hoping there would be someone else with a service dog there, and there wasn't. We were the only ones, but at the end, he said that if people wanted autographs from him, that or just to talk to him, that he would be in another area. So we got in line, and we're in line 5-10 minutes maybe, and we got up there, and I thought that, well, since he wrote the laws regarding service animals, that he would know how to react around the service dog, but that was not the case. Service dogs, I mean, I guess he really didn't talk about not distracting a service dog and touching service dogs. I mean, he more talked about where service dogs are allowed and what you can ask and what you can't ask. So, in the back of my head, I was just thinking it would be really kind of funny if he tried to pet her, but it was like in the back of my head, like, no, he should know. He's a senator. He made the law. He wouldn't do that. So we got up there, and he said, "Oh, what's your name?" And I said, "Well, my name is Becca." And he said, "Well, who is this?" I'm like, "This is Quinn." And I wasn't really sure if he was gonna continue, but of course he did. "Well, hello there." And he reached his hand out, and I don't remember exactly what I said, but along the lines that she's working. And he's like, "Oh, that's right, she's working. I probably shouldn't touch her." I'm like, "No, Dip! You're a senator. You made the rules regarding service animals. Why would you try to touch her? I mean, gosh. I just can't wrap my head around it, and it's just... I can't even understand why. I really have nothing else to say about it, but I mean, I'm so grateful that he passed the law and everything, but dear God, she's working. Service dogs are working animals. You don't need to pet them. You don't need to oogle over them or talk to them. They're working dogs, okay? I mean, the lecture itself, besides the ending, I mean, it was informational. It wasn't hard to hear him, but with auditory processing disorder, like they had him up on like the big screen and stuff above the crowd and everything, but I could see his mouth, but it was just the echo of his voice, which I could only get snippets of what he was really saying. My mom also went with me, and she was more or less a translator during part of it. But I did find something surprising that he said, that he believes that if the ADA if it would try to be passed today, it would probably fail, just because people they don't agree anymore these days, and that it wouldn't pass because there would be too many arguments over things, and it wouldn't be able to pass. And I just think that is ridiculous. That you would think that even more today, there's so many people disabled in this world, visible and invisible, and you just can't really believe it, that it wouldn't even pass in today's society. Hey, yes. So, give me a second. he talked about, okay, he didn't talk about, but I just find it really frustrating that we have the law like for the Americans with Disability Act, but how many, I mean, when you're going into with a store with a service animal, it's just much easier to push the handicapped accessible buttons, just so you don't have to hold the door and shuffle inside. I mean, it's just easier to use the buttons. But I've never realized before I had Quinn that hardly any places have those. And if you really start to look for them, you would be very surprised that they're barely anywhere. And that's really frustrating because people in wheelchairs and stuff like that have service dogs push the buttons to open the doors. Well, like 1 out of 100 stores seem to have them. I mean, that's not a quote from anything, but it's just incredible that like almost no place has them. Many places don't even have ramps. They don't have stairs, and I mean, Americans with Disability Act, I feel like they should have that. And I mean, they said by like 2020 that there should be 50% of all stores and restaurants and places open to the public should have them. 50%. 2020. We barely have them now, but that's ridiculous. And the other thing is that some other things that he talked about. Now, it was hard enough to understand what he was saying, so exact things that he said are going to be hard for me to tell you because I don't remember a lot of it. So he talked a lot about how, like the First Amendment, like right of speech, you can't discriminate against race, color, sex, but nowhere does it say anything about disabilities. You know, it's not there. It's not in the amendments for disabled people to be welcome. And back then, I mean, it wasn't even that long ago. I mean, less than 50 years, people that were disabled were locked up. They were considered dumb and they weren't allowed in public. And today, even disabilities like that aren't all that welcome. I mean, some people pity you, and then other people could care less that you're disabled and just want you to go away. And it doesn't really work like that. We have every right to be in stores. And I can't believe it. Tom said that his brother was deaf, and when his schooling options, he couldn't go to regular school. They sent him states away to go to the school for the deaf and the dumb. And I remember that he said that his brother had told him that I may be deaf, but I'm sure it's not dumb. And that's the truth. Disabled people are not dumb. It's a disability. Yes, it makes us unique and different. It makes us incapable of doing certain things, but that does not make us dumb or less fortunate than others. We have every right to live our lives. And he said when he graduated from that school, his choices, were a baker. There were like 3 things that they could be. They could choose baker, this job, or this job. And his brother didn't want to do any of that job. He just said, I don't want to do them. So they said, okay, you're going to be a baker. So he was a baker, and he opened his own shop, and he was good at it, but one of his friends, I don't remember exactly how it went, but basically they asked him a few years after he graduated that, how he's liking it. He says that he absolutely hates it. And this friend worked at, I don't know if it was a construction place for like planes or some kind of I forget what they're called, like the chain. I can't think of the word at this moment, but so they said, come work with us, and I don't know if he left baking or not, but I'm pretty sure that he did, and he went to work for them, and they said that he did better than every single employee. He got his work done faster, and he never messed up. And the thing was, because this work that he did, there's lots of noise, there's lots of people yelling, there's lots of background noise, and he was deaf and he couldn't hear it, so that's all he did. He worked and he worked and he worked, and he got the job done better and faster than anybody else. He made the most things every day than anyone else, and the people were astonished that he could do that, and they went out and they hired more deaf people to work in this factory because they were doing better about it. And you think of like Walgreens and stuff. I mean, they hire lots of people with disabilities, Kroger's. I mean, I don't remember what's exact stores, but you see a lot more people with Down syndrome and other kind of disabilities there working. And I just can't believe it, how today's society works with disabilities. I mean, a lot more people are understanding of physical disabilities than they are with invisible disabilities. I know this is more of a ramble, and I'm not really focused at this moment. More or less because I had a medication change, and so it's just really kind of hard to get my thoughts together and concentrate on one thing at this time. So it still amazes me that the man that made the law regarding service animals would try to pet one. And I just thought I would share that experience.